Tuesday night, 10 p.m., and this is the C3 Podcast.
I guess you've heard of my reputation. I've had my share of fooling around. But everybody needs stimulation.
I had fun, man. Just out, you guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, man, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
My favorite night of the week.
Good Lord, it's a good day to be a Panthers fan. And we the best. You heard them. You heard them say it. We are the best, Joe. And we put it on them right in their mouth. Hey, what's up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop it up from the fan perspective, and I do it with my homeboys. We got one on the way, and we've got one back this week. Mel Mayock, you're in blue. We're feeling blue, but we're glad to have you back on the show.
Glad to be here, man. Last week I was up in the frozen tundra of Edmonton, Canada. This week, back down in sunny Las Vegas. Man, it's rough, man. It's been a meteoric fall from last season, but hey, what's the team motto? Keep pounding, baby. Got to keep doing it. We're here through the good times and the bad.
I'm trying to get Joe on the line right now, but automatically the YouTube comments are firing up already. I hate my life is one. I think I'm going to light myself on fire is another. And where the heck do we begin tonight is probably the most pertinent of those questions. But before we do get into that part of the show, guys, remember, for your latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective, check out CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We invite you to be part of this conversation on Tuesday nights where we either celebrate together or we get through it together, and you can be a part of that conversation by jumping in the comments on YouTube or using the hashtag C3. And also, tell a friend about the show. Go ahead and give us a share on social media if you're watching right now. Get us out there. Help this show grow. Panther Nation, we need each other together because Tuesday night is where we unite. And you can get the show later on iTunes, Stitcher, and tune in. And if you like what you hear and you feel like maybe donating to help us keep it going, then go to our website or in the show notes and contribute through our Patreon account. It's simple, it's secure, and it helps us. Just $1 can go a long ways. Mel, tonight's episode is, well, this sucks.
This sucks.
Episode 16.36. I'm starting to remember this feeling again, though. The Panthers fall again. This makes the third consecutive loss for the Panthers, I believe. Started with the Vikings, continued with the Falcons, and then really just put it on us with the Tampa Bay game. Mel, I went on my weekly radio spot on Pirate Radio 1250. I'm there on Fridays. Every 3 o'clock, and we do our picks. And I think this may have been the first week I ever picked against the Panthers in the 2 years I've been doing that.
Whew. On the one hand, way to be a homer. On the other hand, that's where we've gotten to be. I mean, it's going to be hard to pick the Panthers until they can find what's missing, because something is missing right now. I mean, Kawan Short, where's he at? Starlin Tulele, where you at? Coney Ely, 3 sacks in the Super Bowl, where you at?
Missing in action. They're all on a milk box carton. That's where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, before the show, I went to Google and typed in Ted Ginn stats. It laughed. The response I got from Google was a laugh.
Siri just spit in your face.
Exactly. Ted Ginn, what? It was awful. I mean, MIA everywhere. Devin Funchess, where you at?
Okay, so speaking of
Pooh Hat's in the house.
Is he here?
He's here.
Pooh Hat is here. Hello, Joe, also known as Professor Pooh.
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. I am excited to be here. It is Tuesday night, and I am fired up and ready for this show. I've got so much to say, most of it negative. So be prepared for Joey playing the role of Debbie Downer.
Okay, well, Joey, the Debbie Downer, you've got plenty of company. All right, so last week we were talking about this game being a must-win for the Panthers. We don't like to say must-win. The team doesn't like to say must-win. Jim Mora, who's out there right now, is saying you got to play the rest of the season. Nothing's a must-win in the NFL. Every week's a must-win, that type of deal where you try to negate these and wash this away. But, guys, this Panthers team was reeling through injury, through poor play, through poor coaching, through poor execution, poor everything, and they needed to win a close one. Joey, last week on the show, I said the way I wanted to win was by a point to kind of galvanize this team to a turnaround. Well, it didn't happen that way. In fact, we did. I felt like we were the San Diego Chargers, where we were trying to do everything we could to lose, right? Or to not win.
Right. That's exact. I felt like there was no difference between what we saw against the team we played the week before, the Falcons. I'm sorry, against the Falcons and what we saw against the Bucs. Undisciplined, no focus, no passion.
Yeah.
And we are our own worst enemies. We had so many opportunities in this game against the Bucs, and we could not capitalize. And when we made a good play, we followed it up with at least one boneheaded play. Most of the time, it was two boneheaded plays.
Yeah. I mean, guys, wasn't it so ugly there at the end? It almost felt like it was going to be a crying shame for somebody to come out of there with a win.
Yes.
Neither team looked like they wanted to win. It was incredible.
Is this and I know I'm about to take some flack from everybody for this, but I kind of was glad that the dude hit the field goal at the end. And not that we lost. That wasn't it. Is that poor guy, if he would have missed that field goal, his career would have just been over right then. And it still may be over. But then I thought we didn't really deserve to win that game either.
No. Are you kidding me? What do we have, 4 turnovers in that game?
Yeah.
There's no way we deserve to win that game. Now, I will say our defense seemed to be playing better, I thought. They didn't play great. But they did play better. The offense really just let the team down. Derek Anderson made some really poor decisions. And, he made some good plays, but he couldn't overcome the turnovers. And sometimes I felt like he just couldn't get out of his own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's that whole idea about Derek Anderson can start on 17 teams in the NFL.
No.
It's a lot easier to say that when he's on the sidelines.
Definitely. When he's holding a clipboard, you can definitely see that and say that. But when he is on the field and trying to execute, that really gets called into question.
Guys, let me give a shout out to the girl gang that's out there. Quite a few of them already active out there on Twitter.
That's right. Woo-hoo, girl gang. Shout out.
One of them, I won't name their name, Legacy Lines, but she said it was too raw, too hurtful. She couldn't even join in tonight, so she was hurt. But she tweeted in her well wishes to the show. But, Joan and Susan and Missy, those folks are already active. They're out there. So, hey, girls. But Joan brings up a good point I wanted to throw out there to you, and I wanted to see if you think there's any credence to it. She says, going to the Super Bowl does this. Endorsements galore, guys trying to pad their bank accounts for the future. Basically, talking about, guys kind of taking their focus off of football, right? I mean, it's the Super Bowl hangover. What, you guys put any credence into that?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we saw it at the Super Bowl where they, I feel like the Panthers, their problem, one of the big problems this offseason is that we bought into ourselves in the wrong way.
Yeah.
All those things that they said that this season wasn't going to be handed to you, they thought that they were going to be running away with this division. And, the way that they played in that first half against Denver, I really thought they were.
Yeah.
But since then, I got another tweet earlier before the show started. This is from Craig Schneider, and you can follow at him, to him ball glory. So it's the number 2.
Be all glory.
Yeah, be all glory. To him be all glory. I was thinking it was to him ball glory. But I got you now. To
Two
him
different meanings there.
be all glory. But he said this. I think it was him that said, somebody sent me a tweet that said, have you noticed all the after the loss, the players were already tweeting about their non-football activities?
Yes, he tweeted it out. Yep, I was in that tweet that he sent, and he did mention that. He said he didn't recall that happening so much last year. And I agree. I don't remember there being so much of that going on. We saw a lot of on-the-field celebration. We saw a lot of things that showed camaraderie and unity in this team. We saw the passion and the fire that this team had, and that carried them to so many wins. And, when you have that excitement, that energy, I've always heard it said you create your own good luck. Luck is when opportunity and preparation meet.
Right.
And that's where we were last year. And this year, I think the opportunity's there, but the preparation is certainly not there this year, and it's showing in an ugly, ugly way. This is a 1-4 team that should have at least 3 wins. At least 3 wins, if not more.
But they don't deserve any.
No, absolutely not. They have not.
Yeah.
If they played up to their capabilities, they would. But they haven't been. Like you said, I really believe they expected everything to come easy. Since they went to the Super Bowl last year, they thought they could just walk on the field and other teams would lay down for them. And they would be able to make the trip back. But that hasn't been the case. Teams are out for these guys. Teams want to give it to these guys because of all the dabbing and dancing and whatnot that they did last year. Teams are fired up with the opportunity to get some against the Panthers, and it's showing. And the Panthers have no fight.
Mario
no fight.
Mario Marcioni on YouTube said, your boy from last week's interview has it right. They've gotten pushed around and laid down. And that people are hunting after them and they're not dealing with it well. I want to know where, other than this just kind of internal fortitude or challenges that these guys have been unable to overcome, where are things going wrong for the Panthers? Because while the defense did play okay, they let Jacquizz Rodgers run over 100 yards on them. Mm-hmm. They did not get to Jameis Winston without blitzing a corner. They had trouble in man-to-man coverage against the big receivers or against anybody. I don't think that the defense was all that great. They just weren't bad. But Tampa Bay is not that good either.
Right. I mean, Jameis Winston did not impress me last night. I mean, he's a rising player, no doubt. But, man, he missed some easy throws that if it were Drew Brees,
if it is Drew Brees
next week.
Right, exactly. Well, here's the things that I'm seeing go wrong. Here's 2 things from my perspective. And the first one I think is low-hanging fruit and it's easy to pick on. And I even talked about this with somebody on Twitter today. play calling, right? And it's easy to get on the coaches when the players aren't executing, because it is a player's game. If the players execute, the coaches look better. However, some of the play calling, and maybe it's the preparation in the play calling. Maybe it was on Derek Anderson, but I was telling you before the show, on that opening drive, and this happened 2 or 3 times throughout the game. On that opening drive, we ran the ball 3 times. First run, 7 yards. Second run, 2 yards. Third run, 0 yards. And that third run, guys, there were 10 Buccaneers up on the line of scrimmage to stop that. I mean, is it not common sense to audible out of that and to do what they did later in the game where they did the play action pass and throw it out to Greg Olsen? That would have been a huge play and would have set the tone for the game. So we're not capitalizing on opportunities through preparation. I think that's one. And two, guys, how many stupid, undisciplined penalties are we having? If you just knock that out, just those stupid penalties, and then for crying out loud, Ted Ginn, don't fumble the ball. So quit the turnovers, quit the penalties. We're a 4-1
Yeah, that was
team.
Teddy Williams' fault on that one. He ran into him while he was trying to get.
I think it was both of them. I mean, you don't know what the communication was. It's the punt returner's responsibility to communicate, stay away, stay away. So you don't know what's going on right there. And I'm not giving Ted Ginn the benefit of the doubt. He has absolutely sucked this year.
He has, and I think that you bring up a good point about the importance or the responsibility on the punt returner in that case is that I felt like Ted Ginn has nonchalantly played the punt returner this role this year. Like he almost is like too cool for school.
Right,
when he let that ball drop on the one and then it bounced off his leg against Minnesota.
Right.
Or San Francisco, whoever it was. And then that punt where Teddy Williams is running down, I felt like he signaled the fair catch, and then he kind of like stood and chilled like he was going to catch it like in his gut.
You're supposed to be yelling, get back, ball.
Just real casual. It was just real casual, and he has stunk on all returns. Kickoffs, punts. He hasn't done squat.
So why not free Bird, right? We all need to get our lighters out and free Bird. He could do no worse. I guarantee it. Demir Bird is the word.
A lot of people are saying Kevin Ketchy says Teddy Williams has literally done nothing good since brought in. Teddy with that stupid play on that punt after making a great stop on third down. Chad, you're exactly right. As Teddy Williams played – he actually was probably the best looking corner out of the bunch last night until he made that bonehead mistake on the punt return, and then I think they took him off the field. So let's talk about this. I want to say, all right, so you're right. These penalties have just been the Panthers' Achilles heel for the whole season, whether it was that Atlanta game where Cam gets the taunting penalty, right? In the first drive.
How many times has Mike Rimmer's gotten a false start penalty?
Oh my God, he's the false start king.
The half would not end. The first half of that game, we were like on the 1 yard line, and I was excited. Yeah. And then 3 hours later, we're still on the half. It was like a 15-minute, 10 seconds, 2 10-second runoffs. We had to burn timeouts. He is terrible. He's horrendous. So how have the Panthers ultimately fallen so far, guys?
I think they've gotten punched in the mouth, and they have not stood back up like the men that they are. I don't know why, but it's a lack of confidence. It was 2 years ago, guys, and we've talked about this before. It was 2 years ago. When things start to go bad, they would get stuck in quicksand, and it would just all fall apart. One thing would go wrong, and then everything would go wrong. Last year, one thing would go wrong. They would turn it around just by sheer willpower and make it right, and then everything bounced their way. This year, we're back to 2 years ago. One thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong.
I was thinking the same thing as this feels a ton like 2014, and that the blowouts Do you remember the blowouts early in that season, whether it was the
Baltimore,
Green
Steve
Bay
Smith.
game?
Steve
Yeah,
Smith came out
Baltimore.
laughing at us. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we went on it was an 8-game losing streak that year. And really the problems were so deep and bad, it was surprising they came out of them. Do you guys foresee that same type of stumbling in the Panthers?
I would say yes. If we don't turn this thing around this week, yes. We talked about must win last week. This is truly a must win. If we blow this thing against the Saints, then we are in for a repeat of 2014. And we will be watching a new king of the NFC South be crowned, and we'll be watching the playoffs from the couch at home.
Well, you know what? 2014, we did go on a winning streak there, and we did win the title. So I think an even better question is, do we feel like, as Panther Nation, do we feel like it's in this team to get it turned around at some point? Is that a possibility?
Right now, I say no. And you guys can call me a panic person, a jumping ship or whatever, but I really haven't had anything. They haven't given me any reason to think otherwise. Is that right now the secondary stuff it turned out the worst possible way it could possibly turn out after the Josh Norman things. We tried to trust in Gettleman that he could handle that. Maybe James Bradbury was the guy that could weather the storm for us a bit, but he's hurt now. And then, in really surprise fashion, after the show last week, on Friday, Bené Benwikri's cut. So this secondary's thin. They're no good. We knew that was the case. But right now, unless Charles Johnson and Coney Ely come to life, I don't see how this team can get better. I don't know how, unless Mike Rimmers goes back to the right tackle and learns from his mistakes at left.
Here's one way.
I don't get it.
Because last year we did not have the defensive end presence that we had 2, 3, 4 years ago. But
Correct.
where we did make our presence known was that internal pressure. And we still have KK Short. We still have Love. We still have Vernon Butler coming back. We still have Star Latulele. They just got to man up, man. And if we could start collapsing that pocket and getting pressure like we did last year, I think there is hope.
There's no pressure, though. Zero, zilch. And, we had trouble at times last year generating pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But our secondary was better, and they could handle. Now you got Thomas Davis, who's nicked up. And I'm starting to think that the coaching staff is panicking a little bit. That and what I see is that you cut Bené Benwikri after you have a bad game, a terrible game, one of the worst games ever for any cornerback. But I still don't know if it was really fair to him to be put one-on-one against Julio, and this is entirely against the Panthers' MO. Their whole defensive strategy under Sean McDermott for his entire tenure has said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to let these guys in man coverage beat us with big plays. And then for some reason, some reason we've done it 2 weeks in a row. We did it again last night where we're manning up people against Mike Evans. And Mike Evans is beating dudes, and he was lame. He pulled up with a hammy.
And you saw when we did go to that cover 2, we were pretty daggone good. Kurt Coleman made that nice play there. Could have picked it off, but that's the defense that we play, is that cover 2 shell. And, man, when we're taking rookie corners and putting them one-on-one. I mean, you got Worley against Evans. That is
terrible. Boy, did he bite on that double move.
He'll learn. He's got some skills, but you're talking about a mid-round cornerback that you're sticking on the field. He's not ready to play. He's not ready for prime time, and that's frustrating as all get out.
So another thing that when the Bené Benwikri cut came on Friday, and I flipped out. I changed. That's when I changed my pick from the Panthers to Tampa Bay. because I think that signaled this, as I think that signaled some sort of panic from the Panthers.
We should have won that game.
Okay, we should have won a lot of games this year, but we haven't. Like, I mean, it's been missed field goals and all of this. But the thing is that this secondary was struggling as it was with the personnel they had. And then you made it thinner. And then you put in these rookies who they aren't that good and all of this. Anyway, I was flipping out on Friday, and somebody sent me a tweet, and I wanted to say, okay, I like this. And that was, you remember when we cut Antoine Cason and Thomas Deku, and then we turned it on for the rest of the season, and that was a statement. Maybe this is similar. But the one thing I kept thinking is that we just don't have a Josh Norman.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's the big difference is you had Josh Norman who was ready to step up and had talent, and the coaching staff had to trust in him. We don't have that guy. Right now, guys, the Carolina Panthers' problems are not entirely, a lot of it's execution, but a lot of it is personnel.
I agree. A lot of it is personnel. I mean, you cannot argue against that.
Let me just say, when it's a personnel problem, and you have $20 million in cap space, whose fault is that?
GM.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, really. I mean, I think that Dave Gettleman miscalculated entirely here, and he has not been above this, but I think he just said that if we can re-sign Charles Johnson and keep that front four intact, that they'll generate enough pressure, given that Coney Ealy had such a great game in the Super Bowl, to make up for these problems in the secondary. And it hasn't happened. And then you get the linebackers haven't been playing great. And I really feel that there's this weird effort. I don't think the Carolina Panthers know how to use Shaq Thompson yet.
He's been pretty daggone good, though. He's flashed a few times. But, yeah, you're right. They could expand his skills, but he's not been the problem. The problem has been, where in the heck is KK Short? Now, here's something that's crossed my mind. I'd love to throw it out there and see what you guys think. You know, you don't want to think somebody might be pouting or what have you, but he was expecting a contract. There's still $20 million sitting there. Is he playing?
Well, this ain't the way to get it.
But is he playing to not get hurt?
I think so. I think you bring up a very good point there. You don't want to ever accuse anyone of loafing or not giving 100%, but he would be serving his own best interest by playing with some hesitancy, because if he gets hurt, he's not guaranteed but just a small amount of money probably. He has yet to get that big payday that he's been hoping. Now, if he'd come out and gotten 10 sacks and, 20 pressures so far this year, I'm willing to bet that deal would have come down real quick. But since he's having an off year, Gettleman might be saying, well, let's wait a minute. Let's hold off here and see what kind of season he ends up with. Maybe we can get him for a better rate if he has a bad year.
How much different would this game have been if Cam had played?
I think it would have been a lot different.
I do too. I think it would have been a lot different. I don't know that the outcome would have been different, but the game itself would have been different for sure.
How many times were there 3rd and 1s when we handed it off at the middle and we didn't get it?
I can at least twice. Let me ask you this. This really pissed me off. I mean, really pissed me off.
Don't want to piss a Puerto Rican off, man.
There was I think it was 3rd and 1, and they were pretty much ran up the middle, or maybe behind off tackle, right behind the guard. Yeah. And Tolbert was supposed to pick up the defensive end, and he totally whiffed on the block. Do y'all remember that play? I remember
I remember it every week. Every week.
Yeah. Well, this one was bad. It really cost us the first down. We would have kept the drive alive, but he totally whiffed. Now, I understand that guys do miss blocks. Yeah, it happens. But this just goes to my point that we've made time and time again. Tolbert is not a bad back, but he is not a fullback.
Right.
You have to count on that fullback to make those kind of blocks. That's where you're going to get the 1 yard.
I don't know
But
why we don't have
because,
a true fullback, man. They can come
He
in there and
sucks.
clear it out.
yeah, he
You
is a
know,
terrible fullback. Terrible.
he's terrible. And, I felt bad every time he's gotten lucky from, in my opinion. I've been hard on Tolbert, and then we went on an ultimate winning streak, and you can't really say anything about anybody. But he really hasn't contributed a ton to the Carolina Panthers since that 2013, that season where he put that guy in the hospital in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that,
Yeah.
he really just hasn't done a tremendous amount. He stinks, and he's taken up a roster spot that he can't play his role all that well. And then on top of that, you got Cameron Artis-Payne, who I think, guys, I've been a big supporter of Cameron Artis-Payne. I think he showed he can run hard yesterday.
I agree.
He got better as the game went on.
Yeah, I liked what I saw yesterday.
I liked later in the game, they were giving him the power sweep run. That's a good play for him. Running him straight up the middle, I'm not sure it's his game. But that power sweep along the edge where he can cut between the tackle and the guard, that's his sweet spot. He looked good.
All right, we're going to be moving on to the Saints soon, and we've got Alan and Sean from Under the Dome podcast coming on. So we need to just wrap. Let's talk quickly, Joey. The things most negatively that stood out to you. Mel's already brought up penalties. Where do you see it with the Panthers?
Taking care of the football. I see it a really, really poor effort to take care of the football. And, like I said, 4 turnovers, and you're not creating any for your team, you're going to lose the game most 9 out of 10 times. And that's what we've seen. We've seen lots of turnovers and guys just not protecting the ball the way they should.
Mel, for me, I'm really upset with the defense and our inability to stop the run.
Yeah.
I think you see Luke Kuechly being frustrated out there. I saw Coney Ely grabbing his shoulder. I would say this, is that the Panthers defense was probably the most jazzed up we've seen them since they played Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And they were playing a team that had a really bad offensive line themselves, and they were barely good. It wasn't bad, but if that's as hyped as you can get, I saw Charles Johnson screaming and pumped up and stuff, and that's all we got. We need more, and I right now don't see how it's going to come. Is that unless our front four just turns into 2013's 64 sack season, I just don't see how we're going to make it happen with the pieces we have, given the weaknesses and the inexperience we have in the secondary.
The only thing I will say is in 2014, when Steve Smith came off of the field as a Raven, which still makes me sick to this day, and he was laughing at our secondary and talked about how he was running past them like they were schoolboys on a schoolyard. And we just thought, it was the end of the franchise as we knew it. We did rally. We did go on to win the NFC South. So you didn't see at that point how we could. Today, you logically can't see how we can. It's not impossible, though. We've done it before. These guys are very good football players. They just need a spark. They need something to go right. They need something to go their way. They need a ball to bounce right. They need something to change this direction. And it can happen. It absolutely can happen.
I don't know if it can happen, and I say that because we really have lost a lot of our veteran presence. Last year, there were lots of veterans on the team, so guys were able to make sure people were doing the things they needed to do. Yeah. They were able to motivate the young guys. They were able to keep the focus on football and not Twitter or Snapchat or any of that stuff. They were able to make it about the game.
All right, so when we make the playoffs, we're going to take this clip and play it back.
Yeah, please.
Faith yet.
I would be so happy if we made the playoffs, but I really have to call it into question.
Yeah.
I just think we're too young. We don't have the old guys like we did last year. Sure, we have a few veterans. We have Charles Johnson and whatnot, but
We're missing old man Harper. I never thought I'd say that day.
yeah, for sure we're missing him. We just don't have that.
I like this is that Mel is trying to call you out, Joe, for being suspicious of a playoff run way down. Like, you know how bad we look. And also, everything you've cited, Mel, has been from a year where we went to the playoffs and we got there by going 7-8-1.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't necessarily what the Panthers did that year as much as how bad everybody else was as well.
But all I'm saying is, yeah, I mean, you look at these past few games, and it's worthy of throwing up all over it. It really is.
We need Michael Orr back.
Yeah, we do.
That just sounds crazy, but it's true.
And we need Cam back. Now, granted, Cam has not played great this year, but Cam is a great player. He's the best player in the NFL. He hasn't played that way yet, but he is. And we need him to get going. We need him to get excited. We need some guys to step up, and it can freaking happen. It's only been 5 games. The season is not over.
No, the season's not lost. It is definitely not lost. But if we lose Sunday, I'm saying it's over. I'm saying it's lost if we lose on Sunday.
It is not the stupidest thing you've ever heard. What is stupid is to be talking about playoffs.
Playoffs.
All right. While I invite the guests, Joe.
Yeah.
What positive things did you see out of this game?
Deep thoughts by Joe Riolano.
Wow, I'm really having to think here.
Hey, has our right tackle looked pretty good?
No.
No?
Nope.
I can't say that, yes.
No?
Well, I guess the one positive thing was Cap. We did say that we liked what we saw from Cap, and actually, another thing I could say is I liked when Fozzie came in the game, how the tempo sort of changed, and I think the combination of those two coming in and kind of giving each other a break is perfect, because you've got the one downhill hard runner, and then you've got Fozzie, who's strong, but also at the same time quick and able to make people miss, and he's awesome coming out of the backfield. So there's a positive. You know, I like our 1-2 punch at running back right now.
Okay, well, look, guys. Well, you like your 1-2 punch at running
And
back.
there's 1-2 punch right there from the Under the Dome podcast.
Cheerleaders looked good last night.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a special guest tonight to help us preview the worst game in recent history memory upcoming. The Panthers 1-4 versus the Saints, who are also 1-4, correct? Or 1-3?
We're 1-3.
1-3. We had our bye week.
That's right.
And
right.
I would just like to acknowledge for the record that I got a haircut for my appearance on the C3 podcast.
It's stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning. In fact, I can't see anymore.
Right. Yeah. You need a little makeup up there to kind of dim off. Make that a little dimmer.
Okay, so we've got tonight we've got Sean Williams from Under the Dome podcast and Alan. Hey. Give us your last name again.
It's Ulrich.
I knew it. I got to go with my guts.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Well, yeah, as long as you didn't say Ulrich, we're good. We're good.
All right. Sean, introduce yourself and tell us why we brought you on the show tonight.
My name is Sean Williams.
We're still trying to figure that out.
I have been sober for a good 5 minutes now.
Hi, Sean.
No, my name is Sean Williams. I I cover the Saints for ProFootballSpot.com, and I'm also the co-host of the Under the Dome podcast, sponsored by Fan First Productions, who in their infinite wisdom saw to enable us to reach our vision.
Invite a
Right.
invite a couple of
my
Saints
co-
fans to crash the party.
Yes, yes. You guys know how to drink and party and ruin our day. Alan Ulrich, also co-host of the Under the Dome podcast. We got our first question to you guys is, how did you pull off that win in San Diego?
Hey, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it, brother.
San Diego gave that ball up like there was no tomorrow. I tell you, and it's been the San Diego Chargers.
A little money in the right place.
That's right. Way. Yeah, that's right. We'll unstick them.
That's right.
Yeah, the San Diego's been losing a lot of games this way apparently, but yeah, they gave up a couple easy fumbles and
missed that field goal.
We're doing all right.
Yeah,
missed a field goal last week.
Their punter, man, a 16-yard punt there in the fourth quarter, and then he's the one that dropped the field goal, the holding. Did you see Phillip Rivers, what he mouthed during that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, he says, "We are the Bad News Bears." Yeah, and that's the way we feel.
Oh. Well, guys, and I know that you guys, being in the position that you're in, much like the position that we're in all seriousness and honesty, right now, a win is a win, and
you never apologize for a win in the NFL.
And if they gave us 10 more, just like it would take every one of them.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you want to go out there and you want to execute a flawless game plan. But in the end, if you're given the parity in this league at this point in time, if you're able to walk out of there with a W, that's all that matters.
Well,
all right, Alan, I want to ask you, Alan, can you tell us what's the state of the affairs for the Saints? You know, a bye week early. This is very early in the season. A lot of times we had one early last year, and we were like, we want it later. We wish it was week 8 or something like that. Where are the Saints coming out of this bye week as a team?
Well, you know, we've been injured since training camp, and actually this bye week kind of came at a good time for us because we are going to get some guys coming back. Teron Armstead's supposed to come back as the left tackle. We've had to put Pete in again as left tackle. We're supposed to get a couple of our linebackers back in. So, you know, it actually is a good thing for us right now. When still don't have Devin Breaux, it's our best corner. He's probably got a couple more weeks left on his broken leg. And the same with our first-round draft pick, Sheldon Rankins. He isn't going to be back until probably week 8. But we're going to hit probably the toughest stretch of games we have this season because we got you guys. We go to Kansas City after this. Then I think we have Seattle in New Orleans, go to San Francisco, then play Denver in New Orleans. So this bye week was kind of a good thing for us because we're the same way. We like having it late. We like having it around week 8 through week 10, kind of get geared up for the playoffs. But we're not a playoff team right now. You know, you can go ahead and do the Jim Moore routine because, you know, we just need to win. Yeah, we just need to win a game. Right. But, yeah, that's the mood right now, that people are a lot more optimistic. We got that. You can call it an ugly win, but we got that win in San Diego. And if they can just get some guys healthy and we can play 4 quarters of good football, we should be able to win some more games. But we haven't played 4 quarters of good football.
Well, join the club.
Wait, what?
I said join the club.
Yeah, join the club, exactly.
I don't think we played 4 quarters of good football this year.
All season.
Yeah. I said in our podcast earlier tonight, I said we had about 54 minutes of good football opening weekend against the Raiders, and we had 6 minutes of good football against the Chargers. So we can combine those 2 games, We should have a football game.
Yeah.
It's just not the way it works.
Yeah.
Hey,
Not the way it works.
I have a question for you two guys. It's kind of stepping away from the Panthers, but what did you think of Joey Bosa's performance in the game?
Joey Bosa still plays in the NFL?
Yeah,
Has he even started?
That
he
was his
started, I think, that game.
He didn't play. He didn't play against us.
Yes, he did. He had 2
He
sacks.
did. I know he did. Yeah, he wore number 99.
He had 2 sacks.
Going to a commercial, I saw somebody wearing number 99 run out there with water bottles. Was that him?
I gotta.
No, that was his debut. That was his debut. He looked good.
You would think you would have watched that game 100 times by now.
And I think the word on the street. I think the word on the streets. He's decided to hold out for more money after that game.
I tell you what, I honestly, that's the kind of impression he left on me. I don't
Obviously.
on the field. Yeah, he dug himself into a hole with that whole holdout and wanting to get extra money. And the Chargers ownership is hated anyway in San Diego. Yeah, so there's no love for anything over there.
But most of
a new owner.
I'll be honest with you. When it comes to the Chargers, there's a lot of things that are wrong, and the fact that they can continue to get right on the precipice of winning, and ever since Philip, if you think about it, and you take it for what it is, ever since Philip Rivers took over the leadership of that offense, they have wanted to interject San Diego into the elite category of teams in the AFC, but their play is continually and over and over and over. They're mediocre at best, and there wasn't much about anything that they did that, and that's true enough. They nearly beat us in this game, and I won't deny that. Some very untimely mistakes at the end of the game cost them, much like several other games that they've had. But there's nothing about San Diego that impresses me to the point to consider them any more than mediocre team.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Melvin Gordon is on the rise. But enough about the Chargers.
Now,
okay, let's talk about the Saints. I don't even want to talk about them, but let's talk about the Saints. Why is your defense struggled so much this year? It's not just a poor defense. It's really, really, it's like a sieve, and teams just can move the ball. I sent you guys a message, and I don't know if you guys got it on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. You had, and you said
we answered it.
Okay, send in the questions. And my question to you guys was, at any point in that Falcons game, I think it was the Falcons, did you realistically just say we're going to onside kick every time?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was our question, one of our questions of the week that week on the podcast.
The Saints defense is a product of a lot of things, and some of this is going to sound familiar to you guys. A lot of injuries at key positions, not much depth, and poor drafting. When we went through 3 defensive coordinators in 5 years, you had Steve Spagnuolo in 2012, the year Peyton was on sabbatical by Goodell. He was suspended for the year. You have 3 years of Rob Ryan, and then you've got the current defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen. And you've had a lot of bad drafting and a lot of bad free agent signing. And you combine that with a lack of depth on the defensive front. So your front 7 and even your cornerbacks now, you just don't have quality players once you start getting injuries. I mean, we've lost 5 cornerbacks since training camp.
That'll hurt.
We're down.
We've
we're down
cut 5 since training camp.
We're down to our 6th and 7th guy. I mean, the guys that we have playing for us and starting for us, 2 of them were picked up off the street after week 1, and the other guy was an undrafted free agent, and that's our best corner, Ken Crawley. So it's a tough matchup. We don't have that pass rushing defensive end. We haven't had him since probably before Will Smith, probably going back to the Leroy Glover days in the year 2000. That's how far back it's been since we had a great pass rusher. So, I mean, that's why your defense is bad. You draft poorly, you sign bad free agents, and you get a couple injuries, and you're constantly putting out the worst defense in NFL history. And it's, you know.
I think it's kind of ironic that as we're sitting here talking about the Saints defense, I'm sitting here looking at Joey's icon.
It's on purpose, and it's not about your defense. It's about our team.
Yes, it is.
Well, we've developed a drinking game. Going into this game Sunday, anytime that you hear one of the announcers say something about the Carolina team that you know in your heart of hearts applies to your team as well, you have to take a shot. So,
well,
anybody
all
that's
right,
left
so,
upright wins.
Are you got nobody's? I'm gonna be dead. My question is how, Joey. Actually, I want to ask my guys first. Mel, I'll ask you this. Mel, are you worried about the Saints' offense?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we can't stop Jaquiz Rodgers and we make Matt Ryan look like an all-star, then Drew Brees, he's going to have his way with us between Cooks and Thomas and Snead. I mean, yeah. I mean, through 4 games, Drew Brees is averaging 317 yards. He's 66% completion percentage. He's got 10 touchdowns against 3 turnovers. Yeah, I'm definitely worried about that offense.
Joe, how about you?
Well, let me just say this real quick, that when Matt Ryan and Julio Jones go to submit their Hall of Fame applications, at the top of their resume will be the past game against Carolina.
Yep.
So if Drew Brees,
That's their glamour shots.
exactly, we know that Drew Brees is 10 times the quarterback Matt Ryan is.
Yeah.
And that's on Matt Ryan's best day.
Right.
Give me Drew Brees with a young core of speedy receivers against this dilapidated, burning dumpster fire of a Panther secondary all day.
You know, I just saw. So we brought up. Here it is. This Black and Blue Review just tweeted this out, and it is. I guess it's going to be Zach Sanchez getting drunk on a double move, right? And so we cut Ben Wickery this past week, and then we brought up Zach Sanchez. And Dave Gettleman said that the only thing that was wrong with these young kids, or he said, is they like to bite on the double move. He said, what can I say? I'd like to drink a milkshake every now and then. The problem is that Dave Gettleman is not a fitness instructor, and so he can drink milkshakes while these guys are NFL corners, and they bite on double moves like they're biting into, I don't know, like when you got to take your x-ray at the dentist and they say, bite on that thing.
But you know what? If you can stop the run, then you can afford to play cover 2 defense. You can leave the safeties back. And then if they bite on the double move, Kurt Coleman's back there to clean up your mess. So it starts with stopping Mark Ingram. It really does.
But the problem is they don't run Mark Ingram. So how does it? That's easy. Sean Payton will stop Mark Ingram for you.
But then you can leave your safeties back, and that's going to help against Drew Brees. And tell me, guys, if you think I'm wrong, Drew Brees is a little bit on the shorter side, right? The only way to really stop him is if you get pressure up the middle. Kawan Short's got to play like he did.
Absolutely.
Kawan Short has to play like he did last year, or we've got no chance.
Yeah, your best bet to stop us is blitz the A gap, get Breeze off his spot, and make him throw from a position he's not comfortable in.
But that's not something we've done all year. That has not been our strong point this season.
Right.
Our strong point has been getting smoked by receivers in our secondary. Our strong point has been giving up big plays. Our strong point has been giving ourselves, putting ourselves in terrible situations because of penalties. Our strong point has been calling a draw on 3rd and 19.
Joe's gonna like that.
I mean, these are all of our strong points. So there's
these are all of our strong points.
so really, truthfully, this game, is a must-win for both teams. If there is any hope of making a playoff run, this is a must-win for both teams. And right now, I don't think the Panthers are really worried about winning football games. I think they're more worried about how many followers they have on Twitter or how many people they have looking at their Snapchat.
I was listening.
Joey really hates Snapchat tonight.
I was listening to you guys' show before we came on, and a way to ask a Panthers fan without either getting one extreme or the other. There's no way to really ask anybody that follows the Panthers if this team is suffering from a Super Bowl hangover. Would you guys say that would be accurate?
I do. From an organization on down, I think the general manager thought, hey, we built this team. We're badasses. We can do what we need to do. And I don't think he went after this roster with a sense of urgency. We got $20 million in cap space gone unspent when you've got pass rushers like the guy, can't think of his name right now. The spinning guy down in Atlanta. We could have signed him.
Oh, Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney.
Yeah.
That was a possibility for us, too.
Yeah, hey. I mean, why not? So,
he's also in the Hall of Fame, too, because he's that old.
But he sacked us twice.
We got $40 million in cap space that we're paying guys not to play.
Dead cap space, right? So,
yes.
So yeah, I don't think from the top down, I don't think we had a sense of urgency. I think we sat back and kind of like Cam Newton running into the end zone against Atlanta. I think we took our eye off of what was going on and slowed down just a little bit, and we're getting popped in the mouth.
For whatever it's worth, when the Super Bowl happened, people ask me a lot, what do you think this is going to do to the Panthers? And I said, well, realistically speaking, it'll have one or the other effect. It will either serve to motivate them to get back to this game and to claim what was theirs this year, or it will go completely the opposite direction and it will disintegrate this team and destroy it.
Wow. I don't think it was the Super Bowl so much, though, as I don't know if it was just we had so many fortunate events last year, and this year it's the story of unfortunate events. I don't know if it was lightning in the box. I thought the Panthers were going to be more familiar with being winners. With like, all right, we sucked for 3 quarters. I feel like this is like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. This is what they do, is even when they suck in their worst possible games, if you give them a window towards the end, they can figure out a way to put that behind them. They've figured out how to be winners on every play somehow. And the Panthers – we didn't figure that out, and maybe it's that veteran leadership that Mel was referring to. Joey, by the way, everybody is going crazy on YouTube saying that you need to give the pregame speech. All right, let's talk about how we see this game shaking up, guys. Is that when is it? Is it a 1:00 game?
Yeah, it's going to be
high noon.
It's high noon our time, 1:00 Eastern time. So yeah. It's
in the dome, right? It's in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, the Terror Dome.
Yeah, we'll probably have Chris Myers and
Daryl Johnson.
Daryl Johnson. Now they
Yeah.
got rid of they got.
Did somebody die or something or whatever?
They had Barber,
Tiki.
Rondé Barber.
Yeah.
Rondé Barber was his sidekick, and I guess he
Right.
got kicked off. So we're gonna get the third or fourth string Fox team covering this game. So
Gosh, and the first team Fox team is terrible.
yes, I know. Well,
if I have to listen to Joe Buck, I hate Joe Buck.
oh, I
But
do too.
I can stand Joe Buck a lot easier than I can Troy Aikman.
Well, I don't like any of them.
I'm the other way around.
I
but-
cannot stand Rondé. I hate the fact that he calls NFC South games.
I
hate
know.
it.
The Panthers.
Guys, why isn't the NFL like the NBA where you can have your own homer announcers do all of your
Yeah,
games?
really.
Hey,
Thank you.
Because we don't
they always
play 182 games.
No, it doesn't matter. There's still more money in the NFL. I mean,
And the other thing is that the good thing is that we don't want to have to listen to Mick Mixon for. Imagine him getting excited. It's just the worst.
we have Jim Henderson and Deuce McAllister now on the radio, so they always tell us the same thing: turn down your sound, and turn up the radio. The problem is, especially when you play at home, it's not synced up. The delay is horrible.
Right.
It is.
Oh, God.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so how do we see this game shaking out, Alan? What do you see coming out? Do the Saints get out to a hot start and run away with this? Is this a tight one to the end?
It's going to be a tight one. I think the Saints will come out firing. They'll probably march right down the field in the first three picks. You'll be doing that. First three possessions, drinking a beer, watching, going, oh, my God, here we go. And then if Carolina can survive the initial onslaught, then they'll start working their way back into the game, and it'll tighten up. Because our defense cannot get off the field on third down. I don't care if it's 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 21. They manage to allow teams to convert those third downs. And it was especially horrible against Atlanta. And it's because we don't have a pass rush, and our defensive backs end up sitting in a soft shell and let them receivers catch the ball in front of them. And I'm sure you guys do the exact same thing week after week. So we have to end up blitzing 60% of the time to generate some sort of pass rush. And if the back or the receiver can get in that second level, they're going to get the first down every time. So, I mean, that's how I see it. And it's going to come down to one of the last possessions of the game. Who has the ball at the end of the game, or who can make the play that makes the big stop at the end of the game? And I'm gonna give the Saints this one because it's at home, even though you guys are favored right now.
Oh, that's a mistake.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Cam.
What, the favorite part, Joey, or the giving it to us?
Yes.
Well, I mean, if Cam Newton's playing, that'll present a lot of problems for our offense. If it's Derek Anderson playing back there, he's a statue. That helps our defense a bit. Having Derek Anderson and Jonathan Stewart not being there helps us a lot. So we just have to see who shows up, who's inactive on game day, and we'll be able to get a better feel for the game.
And I think that goes for both teams equally. I mean, who we have active and inactive, as well as who you guys have active and inactive.
Where do you see the score at, Alan?
Given that secondary, I'm going to say, and our secondary is not much better. I mean, honestly, I say this, but our secondary is not a lights out secondary. So I think both offenses have a chance to score in the 30s. I really do, because I said this earlier. It's the resistible force meeting the movable object in this game. So.
That's so true. That's so true.
That's good.
So it's going to be the last team that has the ball. It's going to be like an arena football league kind of game.
Oh man, all right? So give us a score. Hold on. Give us a score, Alan. Don't just kind of say somewhere in the 30s. Give us one.
Okay. How about 37-35? I'll give the Saints 37 on this one.
Okay.
37-35.
Sean, what do you see? What are you going to be looking for? How do you see this game panning out?
I think that the Panthers' struggles in the secondary, combined with the fact that we have, as you guys alluded to earlier, the fact that we have Drew Brees, that spells for a problem. If the question is just going to be whether or not Sean Payton and the coaching staff can exploit that or not. But if you think back to last season, the last time these two teams met in the Superdome, the Saints jumped out to a 21-point lead early, only to see that basically evaporate right after the halftime. I think that the Saints will more than likely try to jump out early, as you alluded to. I think that maybe 40s probably wouldn't be a stretch. And I do fully expect them to try to put Brees in a position to score as many points as he possibly can, strictly because they have to have him do that because of the state of our defense. But
all right, so give us a hard number. Give us a hard number. Give us a hard score, just because this is what we do. Don't worry, we never go fact check it like Hillary says we should.
I'll go.
Go to my website. Go to my website.
Now you gotta have a much more nasally, angry voice. Go to my website.
And then you got the other guy.
Yeah.
Different trumpicalist.
Yes.
Gosh.
I'll go Saints 42, Panthers.
Wow, gosh, 42 points.
I don't see 42 points.
One thing is for certain.
But you said 37. I mean, it ain't that far away.
Yeah, but 37, I'm talking about last possession. You're trying to score.
Okay.
One thing is for certain, and I think this is something that we probably can all agree on. For these two teams that are meeting on Sunday, for one team, the rest of the season starts on Sunday. And for the other team,
the off season starts on Sunday.
You know what I was thinking is that for one team, the off season starts on Sunday. For the other team, it starts 1 week from Sunday.
So we get a message from the commissioner. The Carolina Panthers are now on the clock.
On the clock.
No, I'm sorry. As long as Cleveland's still in the league, you'll never get the #1 overall.
Right.
Okay. All right. Look, Alan and Sean, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. Can you tell us where they can follow you and where they can listen to your crazy banter?
Go ahead, Sean. Oh, you're going to ask me to do it? You do it. You might do it much better than me.
Okay, well, you can follow us Under the Dome, PO1 on Twitter. And we have a Facebook page, Under the Dome Podcast. You can follow us there. You can see our podcast every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. And we're also available on iTunes, Under the Dome. And you can follow Alan at 79 Saints on Twitter and me at Drew's Dad 3721. It's hard to remember all these
He's
guys.
so old he can be Drew Brees' dad. All right, thanks a ton.
Actually, that's not untrue, and that hurts.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. We've got to make our picks and our ice up picks. We'll catch up with you next week. All right, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Joe,
bad luck
we're
to you.
gonna- Yeah. All right, Joe, we're going to turn it to the poo hat. People are saying 42 points. Yikes, right? Is that this is not what you want to do in this. But where do you see this game shaking out, Joey?
Well, like I said, I think Drew Brees, with some quality receivers, they're young, but they're super athletic. They do have one guy with some size, number 10, I can't remember his name. The guy from Oregon,
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, Cooks. He's super fast. And then Snead is just a good kind of all-around player. They've got some receivers. They got a solid tight end, and the running game can be effective. The little bit of it that they do. So I really, I picked the Panthers every game this year, and they've only won one. So maybe if I pick the other team, the Panthers will win. So I'm going to do something different here, and I'm picking the Saints. I think it's going to be a tight game, a lot of offense, some ugly defense will be played. And I'm thinking it's going to be 34-31, New Orleans.
Wow. This is crazy because I'm going to go before Mel on this because I'm going to double down with Joey on the poo. I'm going to pick against – I picked against the Panthers for the first time in, man, I can't even remember, this past week against the Bucs after the Ben Wickery cut. I don't know if we can get healthy fast enough to make a huge difference. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring. I think this is going to be one of those games where we expect it to be high scoring, but it's more like I'm going to say 24-17 Saints.
Okay. All right. Well, Debbie Downer and King Peter. We got to have some juice here, right? We got to have some optimism. Somebody's got to stand up. Somebody has to stand up and support the team, right? Stand up and cheer for the Panthers. Isn't that what they say, right? You guys are already jumping off the ship.
I'm back on. I'm back.
All right. Yes. You got to support the team.
That's all it took. It just took somebody to stand up.
You're so easy, man. I love it. It's just like your college days, man. It's awesome. So easy. All right.
I stand with Mel.
Yes.
I stand with Mel.
Panthers in this game, 24-13.
24-13 Panthers. I love it.
And then Mel wakes up and realizes it was all a dream.
All a dream. And then we all sit down together. Okay. No, I like it. I stand with
I hope you're right, Mel. I certainly do. I hope you're right. But this Panthers team has been unimpressive, underwhelming, undeserving of a win.
It's been rough.
I agree. It's been so bad. It's hard to cheer for.
It is, and it's one thing is they're playing with fire and emotion, and they're getting outplayed, but they don't have it. They're just going out there and going through the motions. It's like they're still high on last year's Super Bowl run. It's a hangover, but it's really more like they're still drunk from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All right, Mel, hit us up with a nice up pick. I know you got one.
Oh man, there's so much low-hanging fruit out there.
Yes, there is.
But again, like I said earlier in the show, when you go and you Google somebody's stats, and Google Siri laughs at you. I mean, I go for Ted Ginn, who last year had 10 touchdowns. The guy was a difference. He was a difference maker.
Yeah.
Cam Newton was hitting the guy down the seam, and he dropped 50% of his passes last year, it seemed like. But he
could have had 20 touchdowns.
This guy on the season has 9 catches for 137 yards in 5 games, guys. I mean, Greg Olsen had 181 yards, which is somebody we missed when we said what was good. about the Panthers.
You're right. That's a great point.
Yeah. Joan brought that up on Twitter.
Joan brought that up. That's right. So give her the credit on that. But, I mean, Ted Ginn has had less yards all season than Greg Olsen had last week.
In one game. Right.
You cannot have that. And he has muffed 2 punts. Now, you can say Teddy Williams calls that one. I think it's equal on both of them. He wasn't communicating. He's got to tell guys to stay away. I mean, and he has just been awful. Now, coaches, free Bird, bring in Demir Bird, give the guy a shot, give us some energy, lightning in a bottle, because Ted Ginn has been horrible, and he really needs to ice up. Ice up Ted Ginn.
Yeah, man, if you're going to cut Ben Wickery, I think that everybody is on the chopping block on this team.
Yeah.
Ice up to them. I'm gonna echo that sentiment a little bit, and I'm gonna go with Sean McDermott and Dave Gettleman. It's a dual ice up pick for these guys.
Whoa.
I think that number one with Dave Gettleman. Yeah, I mean, first of all, both of these guys, by the way, have been untouchable for the last 3 years on this show. By the way, Kevin Ketchy said, "I said snowshoes, damn it." You know, when you got people watching the football games and Greg Olsen is killing it and they're yelling snowshoes, you know that those mugs listen to the C3 podcast. But my ice-up pick goes the first, starting with Dave Gettleman, underestimating, maybe miscalculating on some positions that he's done in the past, whether it be defensive end, specifically offensive tackle as well. He gambled hard in the secondary, and it's hurting right now. But where this ties into Sean McDermott is I feel like Sean McDermott, he has been forced to blitz more than he likes to generally because of our inability to get a pass rush. But I felt like he has not put our secondary in great situations. Now, this may be out of necessity. This may be because you're blitzing. You got to go to man coverage and things like that. But when it comes to Gettleman and the personnel, and then McDermott, and you're running man coverage, and it leads to Ben Wickery getting cut. These guys, I don't think that Sean McDermott has gotten the job done the past couple of weeks. Now, do I think that means he should be fired? Hell no. But what I'm saying is that Julio torched you. When no adjustments are made, why can't we triple team some guys? I mean, triple freaking team, not double team. Triple team.
Let anybody except Julio beat you. Anybody.
Right. Exactly. And then we saw the same problem with Mike Evans last night. I think it was the same exact thing, just less is not as good as Julio. And this goes, it's a dual thing. It's personnel has forced Sean McDermott, and Sean McDermott has changed his scheme. So to you guys, I say ice up. Dave Gettleman, you got to prove something to us. And that is, we gave you the mandate from Panther Nation to do whatever you will, but we think you messed up when it came to Josh Norman.
Yeah.
And we don't really understand I don't understand the Ben Wickery cut. I just don't get it. My personal theories are that Ben Wickery slept with Ron Rivera's daughter. Like, I really think this is a possibility. Ron Rivera's daughter is one, and that's the only thing I can think of, because you can't
Dave
say,
Gettleman's son.
Yeah, we're Dave Gettleman's son.
Now, I did hear on Twitter, I don't know if anybody else heard this, but I heard that he openly admitted that he was out of shape.
Yes, he openly admitted in an interview on 610 The Fan. They were interviewing
But
him.
he didn't say, he did caveat. In his defense, he said, look, you can be in football shape but not be used to running marathons. And he was running 95 yards down the field with Julio. Like, it's not – it's the difference between conditioning for what you do on a daily basis, and then in that case – he had to step in and do something that he wasn't prepared. But he was coming off an injury. I don't know. Something's fishy. Something is fishy.
He got
It is
claimed. He got picked
not
up.
just performance.
Who picked him up?
I think it was
Miami.
the Chargers. Oh, it's Miami?
No, it
I
was
thought it was
Miami.
Oh, speaking of Miami, they released 2 offensive linemen, 2 starters. I think today. So, hey, Carolina, one person's trash is another man's treasure. So let's
Too
go.
bad is that when you're dumpster diving in somebody else's dumpster.
You're right. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel there in Miami. But hey,
Okay.
I think it's at least worth looking into, if nothing else. Kicking the tires on. Jesus. My ice up pick this week. It's easy for me. I saw it last night, and I knew when I saw it that this guy is going down. It is Robert McClain, the defensive back from the Carolina Panthers.
All right.
Robert
He
McClain.
had a big sack. He
did have a big sack, and he did try to go in and get Jameis Winston one more time.
Oh, yeah, and then he missed.
And he got mushed in the face by James Winston, who said, boy. And he escaped the attempted sack and I think completed a pass for a first down, something like that.
Yes, that was the same play, too, if you go back and watch it, Joey. I don't know if it was Robert McClain or another defensive lineman or somebody was like they then go to pursue Jameis Winston, and Coney Ely comes by and crushes a Panther on the way to trying to get. So, man, Coney Ely could hit a damn Panther defensive back. He can't get Jameis Winston. Jeez.
Man.
No. So
he's a big reason we're bad this year. Coney Ely is a big reason our defense is not.
He surely hasn't played up to the potential.
Honorary ice-up son is Coney Ely.
Yeah, Robert McClain. I say ice up, son, because you got mushed in the face.
You know who that reminds me of? Rondé. Barber! Remember he got smushed in the face by Jace, too?
That's right.
All right, this is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop it up, the latest Panther news and opinions from the fan perspective. And I do it with my homeboys. One's in the low country where it's been flooded and crazy, but it's getting crazier here in Greenville. I'm glad you made it out safely and home safely. Joey, tell them where they can follow your work.
Guys, please follow me on Twitter at Joe Rolano, a.k.a. the freaking Puerto Rican. Let me remind you, folks, if you are a fan of any team in the NFC South, tomorrow night is the Southbound and Down podcast. It's a premier NFC South podcast from the fan perspective. Our panel of selected specialists, these guys specialize in the NFC South teams, are there to answer any questions and discuss the week's previous games and the week ahead games that are to come. So make sure you tune in to the C3 Network for the Southbound and Down podcast tomorrow night, 10 o'clock.
All right, Mel Mayock, good to talk with you, brother.
Yeah, it's good to be back, guys. I'll be back next week, too. But you can catch me back anytime at Panthers Drafter on Twitter. We got a new weekly mock draft going on out at Draft Tech. You can check that out. And tomorrow night, we're doing our weekly podcast before the Southbound and Down on the C3 Fantasy Football Draft, or the Fantasy Football Update for the week, going over what prizes Panther fans won this past week and going forward what the next one's going to be. So tune in tomorrow night.
Word up. Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you to every single person that tweeted in, that listens every week on YouTube. We really appreciate it, because without the fan, football's just a kid's game.
Yeah.